And we're live. Welcome to another episode of Easy Sports. And today I'm joined by Onke, Luando, Gents. How you guys doing?
Good man. How are you?
And I'm
Good,
okay.
good,
I'm
man.
okay.
How you
Can't
doing?
complain. And I'm good. Can't complain. Can't complain. Can't complain. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. I don't know. Hey, of course we're gonna just jump onto the rugby. I don't want us to talk about cricket. Please, guys, let's lay
I
away from the
agree.
cricket.
I agree.
It's us
Please.
just
Oh,
discussing winning teams, and that's about it. So yeah, man, I think we should start off with the Boks. I mean, of course, we had four amazing quarterfinals. I watched all four of them. All of them were they made up for the lack of soccer, of course. I mean, because it was international break, and for me, I felt like these four games were all worth it. But yeah, let's start off with the mighty Springboks. Yeah, I'll start off with you, Luando, dog. I mean, you were very vocal on what again on socials about the Springboks, and you're very confident in it too. Where do you think we won the game, dog? In your opinion?
I was correct. I was not confident at all.
Ah, no, on Insta you weren't, dog. I saw you,
I,
but
it was me putting on a front, dog. Can't let your enemies know you're scared. It's
yeah,
good. But anyway, yeah, I think that was my biggest fear about playing the host nation. I think, you saw how France came out. You saw how the amount of pressure they put us under. Um, Yasti, what a game. From the whistle, literally. I think we had like the kickoff, and
yeah,
then it was a couple of phases, boom, we're in our, yeah. And then those chips, he went from on started with those from the onset. It was either going just over our defensive line or grab it through. And that was we were already on the back foot. That yo it was such a good tactic, but the Springboks counter of bombing their left wing the first few times kind of neutralized that whole thing because we scored both our tries from that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first two tries. It was a really good tactical first half on both sides. I thought, um, obviously very frantic. um, you know, and I don't think it was because both, like, the amount of scoring that happened. You
yo,
would think,
Luando, your internet. Am I the only one that's hearing this? Okay, Wena, are you also hearing?
No, you're the only one. It's your internet.
Oh, it's
yeah,
mine.
yeah,
Damn.
it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh my days. Okay, let me hop
Lando
off.
Lando
You can
sounds fine
continue.
to me.
But yeah, to carry on from what
You
I was
continue.
saying, I
Yeah,
think
you can
both.
continue.
Yeah, it's not that you know how the amount of tries that were scored in that first half. You would say, yeah, it was because you would think that both teams were not defending, but they were defending. I think that just the quality of rugby that was played in that first half, whether it was creating those opportunities or just feeding off mistakes, and it wasn't major mistakes, but it was like significant enough mistakes to punish, and both teams were very clinical in doing that. So
Yeah.
it was a very good, very, very good first half. Second half, I thought we did so well in managing the Estabet 10 minutes where he was off. I think we only kept him to like a 3-pointer, which was great, because that could have been tricky. At one point, it definitely looked like they were worth another try while we were, down to 14 men. And that, I think, would have pushed the game out a bit too far out for us. Um, those 10 minutes without him to start the second half was so important. And I think that's probably where we can, one of the key moments we can point to and say, yeah, we won the game here because they didn't score more than a lot of points during that period. But we grafted in that second half. We had to graft. Like, we were under so much pressure at certain state. I promise you, I think just after the 60th minute, in my heart of hearts, I was like, hey, it doesn't look like we're pulling this one out because everything was pointing to us losing that game to start the second half. Um, but jeepers, man, like we champions. We are truly champions, and we are so good at absorbing, pressure. And that second half showed that, and we didn't need too many opportunities either to pounce and gain control of the game again. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. Probably the most stressful games I can think of in a long time that I've watched the Box play. Um, I can't remember the last game that put me under that much angst. Yeah, I don't know how you guys felt about it.
The last game to do that to me was the final in 2019. That
Yeah.
defensive rally that was like 7 minutes. I think that was the most stressful 7 minutes of my life. But I'll
Yes.
be honest, that was an amazing game. Like that was one of the best knockout games I've ever watched. But at the same time, I didn't enjoy watching that game at all. It wasn't good for my health.
Yeah.
I was very short tempered when I was watching. A lot of things just got to me. There were, I think we won that game in moments. There
Mm.
were very, very crucial moments in that game that we won it. So when we figured that we should use both Eben and Peter Steph for up and unders to punish their wings. So the first try, we score it from an up and under money kicks targeting Eben. When Eben gets to the French defender, to the French player, I think it was the French hook, not hooker, the French. It wasn't the fly half; it was the fullback. When he
Yeah.
gets to the fullback to contest, the fullback closes his eyes, basically, so he can't see the ball, and then he basically can't catch the ball. From that, we create the first try. And the second try is basically an error that is created because Peter Steph is behind the guy that's catching the ball. And it was both from Mani's kicks, is behind the guy that is catching the ball. And that pressure is stuck in that guy's mind to say, I need to catch this ball because there's this 7 footer behind me who's going to get this ball if I don't. Makes an error, we capitalize again. And I think we played those counters at very crucial moments in the game when France was dominant. I think Dupont was amazing in that game. His ruck speed, I've never seen anything like it. We just seemed like we are so behind them. The speed that they were, the breakdown. We didn't have time to get in the rack or to like fight for the ball in the rack. I was saying in our group that usually Vermeulen and Sia are very good at the breakdown area, in terms of entry, arriving on time, ensuring that they put pressure on the ball. But the French are so smart because they don't try to keep the ball, they roll it. So as they roll it, they know there's like two guys coming over to rack, so you can't counter rack in that period. And that's why we're not getting a lot of penalties for holding. They were releasing very, very quickly, and as soon as they release, Dupont is there and the ball is moving, so we're not having the time of breathing and just relaxing. And I think the most crucial, yeah, the thing that scared me, yeah, that game was scary, honestly. The thing that scared me was the rolling maul for the first try. My God, I've never seen us being dominated like that from a line out. I have never seen that. That maul was it was so rapid. They literally entered our 22 and just kept marching. And ah, the number three from France was unplayable. He was too big to tackle. Um, he targeted Steven Kertov like no one's business. Like he just kept beating him up the whole game. Every time he hit Steven Kertov, he fell. Every single time. And I think that was his assignment. He kept on falling. And they ensured that we don't get a lot of scrums in the first half as well. So we did a great job of just keeping up, with them. Because I think they were supposed to have a big lead in the first half, and we were going to struggle to get our offense going because we couldn't run any phases. So we had to counter. I loved Jesse's pass to what's this? To his ground kick to find Cheslin. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That's Springbok rugby right there, where you break the lines and then you just look for the free runner. That was beautiful right there. And I think a crucial moment was Cheslin's block on the conversion. And I saw they were discussing it in the breakdown to say when did Cheslin actually start running, and you can see he starts running when the kicker takes his first step, but he's his teammate in France. So he knows him. He knows exactly what his run up looks like. So he timed it so perfectly. He even had to slow down to ensure that he contests right at the moment when he's kicking so he can actually get the block. That moment to me was the game winning moment. But then there were other moments. Surviving the yellow card. We played so trash to begin the second half because all we focused on was stopping France. And I think I was very harsh on Kobus because I rewatched the game and I wasn't impressed by Kobus Reiner. But then I realized why he started over Faf. He started so he could stop DuPont. He basically was there to be the enforcer on the number 9. That is why at scrum time, there was a lot of pressure being put on the number 9 to sort of tackle him as soon as, if the ball is coming out with him, to tackle him immediately. So they kept bringing the fly half over or getting the 8th man to take the ball out, which was a counter for that. Because we were targeting DuPont, he had a facial fracture. So we wanted to sort of tackle him, mess him up a bit, but we couldn't. He's very, very clever. I was very impressed because I was wondering why he's even the captain. He's a great player. And then and then when we put Ox in, I think that's when our front row changed the game. Our front row started to dominate the scrum. We were actually forcing handling errors now. France kept doing knock ons, and then we would get scrums. We would tire their front row, and they lost mobility. Their front row couldn't create those breaks, and because of that, the game slowed down in the second half. And I think that's when the game started to suit us even better. So when you got that goal line penalty, I was worried that we were going to kick out and try to do what's this to do a line out. I was quite happy that we decided to go for a live kick and push from there. And a few seconds later, Eben is over the line. It's a try. I wish that you know, we start using that method even more, especially if you are inside the 22. Let's not do this thing of trying to get a rolling maul. Our lineouts, we've been found out as far as lineouts are concerned. These teams are doing everything in their power to disturb us. They hit us on the line out. We had a lot of handling errors during lineouts, so France would actually recover if we actually tried to steal the ball. It was frantic, guys. It was frantic. I think we are not going to play a game that helter skelter again. This was most definitely the fixture we didn't want this early in the tournament, And to be very, very honest, we survived it. France dominated us in every phase of the game. Breakdown area, turnovers created, um, territory, kicks, kick distance, runs, run distance, ball carries. We only dominated in tackles because, well, that's all we could do. And I think that's where Jesse did a great job. Jesse was one of our lead tacklers. I think him and Franco Mostert had 14 tackles each. So he was amazing as far as tackling. I think because he was defensive, a lot of people didn't see how much work he was putting in. Bongi as well was one of our lead tacklers. That's why, sorry, he ended up being man of the match because he was our lead tacklers as far as our front row. But I think that was the worst our pack has performed since I think
Yeah.
the second half of the Ellis Park game against Argentina. That was
Yeah.
the worst. I've never seen our pack be that bad. Our entire
Yo,
pack, only Eben was good. Like our entire pack
True.
was good. All of them.
That's a
especially
fact.
Steven. I think France and Bongi, they did the work that they do. I didn't really have a problem with them, but I think the moment they started to target Steven continuously, and Franco wasn't carrying the ball as much as well, it just it seemed like we don't have answers. It was very frustrating, So I'm proud about a lot of things, but yeah,
Yeah,
hey, it was tough. Our
We were
backs,
seeing
guys.
things.
Our backs. I think we have the best fullback in rugby.
yeah.
Willemse is
Oh,
amazing.
Willemse. Mm,
Come on. That guy doesn't make mistakes.
it
He is
doesn't,
Yeah,
perfect.
true.
He's
True.
perfect.
dude. Even when he
Yeah,
called
but
that mark where he called and then put his fists together, I never knew you could.
yeah,
I
you
thought
From
you
off the
could.
can.
mark.
You
You
can
can.
select the scrum. It
Let me
just
tell
shows.
you why. Let me
Yeah,
tell
you
you
can
why I
call.
wasn't comfortable with that call. Because France's scrum pack is it is almost as dominant as ours. And our forwards are not having a great game, but our scrums are still very good. And at that point in the game, we had Ox in, and we were winning our scrummages. My issue was it felt like the call
But
is
okay,
opening us up to potentially a penalty instead of just kicking the ball out.
no,
But
but
when
in,
even
but in
Sihle
that,
said,
I said in that situation, right, that we haven't had a scrum that's our scrum. We hadn't had a scrum that we were feeding into the pool. It was mostly scrums we
yes,
were defending
yeah, it was
against them.
always
And
France's
then
ball.
and when Willemse called it, it matters more because we are forcing the pressure. If we had our first scrum and we won that scrum, because that
Yeah,
became a brilliant decision. Because we won the
yeah,
scrum, we got a penalty.
we got a penalty from it.
So for me, it was a great call, and I think we did have a chat about it. And I was like, it's pointless for us. We win that ball, we kick it back to them, and that's what they want. The biggest problem in yesterday's game and what threw us off was those chip kicks just behind our defense. Because at that point, they have runners and we have to turn and face. And most of the
Mm.
time, it's your fullback. We have a fullback who joins the line most of the time because he's involved in the attacks.
Yes.
So that's why our fly half was always so deep. Our fly half was very deep in the game because he had now decided that he's not going to be involved in the play, but rather in stopping those small chips so that he can get it and kick it back. So we were basically playing a defensive game from the first whistle once they started chipping those balls in and we realized the danger. And once our forward pack started struggling, as Onke said, it became a very open game. And once the game was open like that, it's always difficult for any team to go and stop that. So for me, I know they were a troublesome team, and yeah, we had to dig deep in that one, and like the Springboks always do for the result.
Do you think we're going to have anything more difficult than that game? That team
Um,
is designed to
yeah,
beat us. Like, if you think about it, France is the team designed to beat the Springboks.
yeah, that is so true.
So I think on that question right on game because the home crowd makes a team like I said makes you 10 times 3 times better than you actually are. A lot of the guys, I mean, their hooker was outstanding, dude.
Dude,
And you could see he
Yo,
was feeding a
he
I
lot
was
know.
off the
cooking.
crowd.
He was
I
Yeah, he
cooking.
was feeding off the crowd, man. He was feeding off the crowd, and you can see he just makes players that much better when you get into those situations. So I think we probably won't have a Sterner test. It's probably going to be one of our Stern tests, but again, it's always tough to play against England.
Yeah.
It's always tough to play against the All Blacks. It's always going to be one of those games, but yeah, I think the home crowd makes that fixture bigger than it should be. Well, more what would I say? More trickier than it normally would. I think
Yeah.
if we played France at home here in a different situation or anywhere else in the world, it would be difficult for them to maintain what they were doing for that whole game.
I think that's going into this game. That was my biggest fear. Not that France can beat us more than anything, but like the impact that crowd is going to have on that French side. Um, and you just saw it, man. The crowd, they fed off that, and they made it a point that they started the game on a front foot to get the crowd involved. You know, immediately DuPont was from the get go dominating play, directing play with those chip kicks, those grubber kicks, and they just fed off that. It was I don't see, even if like, yeah, I don't see England putting up or creating that kind of pressure that we were put under in those in throughout that game, for sustained periods.
They,
You
they
know,
they would have to change the way they play. So
exactly.
France, the reason I say France was more designed because what France basically was doing was they were forcing us to to look for relief in terms of territorial pressure. So
Mm,
when we open and we create space behind our defensive line, they would chip it. So they'd force us to close ranks, and then they would try to beat us and force us into errors. And then when we are compact, basically in our defensive shape, they would kick long. So if our fly half, not fly half, if the fly half and the fullback are a bit pulled in, they would kick the ball even longer, basically force them to run back. I
mm,
think Cheslin had a save. Um, Someone else also had a save where they had to run all the way back towards goal. So they were forcing us basically to think twice behind the line of the defense, not trying to engage the forwards in terms of forcing them to be physical. And then when they get
exactly.
to our 22, they rush us like no one's business. They were not trying to keep the ball in the rack for long periods of time. It was just, you know, once you go down, we continue playing. Once you go down, we continue playing. And I think their ruck speed in our 22 was what we couldn't handle in the first half. They scored
Mm,
their tries from rushing us. It felt like they had a man, like an extra guy over us every single time. It just felt like that. And
yeah.
primarily because of how well their tight head was breaking tackles. That guy was just breaking tackles. If he carried, he was just going through our defense like no one's business, and that softened us as well. So they were able to kill us doing that. But the reason Rasi said they chose the scrum in the second half also shows that they were seeing that the tactic is that to say France was not trying to get into scrum situations. They use their forwards differently than other teams. They don't really use them for scrumming from scrummaging, even though they can. They utilize them as mobilizers. So they are like boulders. They go into the what's this into the rack areas. That is basically where they scrum. So when the ball is being recycled, they are
Mm,
heading into those racks with all the force possible to ensure that you cannot counter rack. So every time we tried to recover the ball or force them into a penalty, those guys were just cleaning out like no one's business. That is their strength. That is why they dominated the rack so much, and it was difficult for us to create turnovers because that's exactly what they do. So Rasi was basically saying that so we wanted them to now play on our terms. So we're not going to kick the ball back to you because that's what you want. Come get the ball from us. We'll scrum for it. So that is more our thing. And even said that the last game we played against France last year, the entire game we had one scrum. The entire game there was only one scrum.
I
Why?
remember him
Because
saying that.
they don't want to scrum. That's not what they do. They want to kill you at the breakdown. The moment the ball hits the ground, that's when they kill you with their forwards. And it's a great way that they use their team. It really we were prepared, but we were not prepared at the same time.
Mm. Yeah. Also, I think that game just showed me, you think you know a lot about this team, and then there's tactical things and decisions and planning that goes in behind what Rasi and Zoc put up on the day, like with decision making. I mean, I do go back again to us countering them with, you know, the tactic of using our locks as guys to put pressure on their wing with those kicks or their
Yeah,
fullback, whoever
that was
was in that
amazing.
corner. I was just like, that's such a small detail, and I don't think a lot of teams have utilized their locks to challenge the ball on the wings. I mean, Eben and Peter Steph were just sitting there.
Yeah,
They
and
weren't
we never have them there. They're always in the middle to carry the ball. I was like,
exactly
this is such a different change now. It's a very
this.
different change.
And it was so smart, and and besides that, again, a small thing, but you don't think about it. The whole the challenge that what's her name had on the kicker, ooh, Kobe.
Yeah,
I literally, even when they were after they'd scored that try, no one was looking for someone running. I wasn't looking. If you look at the cameraman, literally he just appeared, and everyone was like, "What? Where did he come from?" You know?
I was
Uh,
expecting a whistle or something. I was like,
exactly.
they're gonna reset this kick. What? How did he get there that quickly?
It was yeah. There's a lot of planning and outsmarting
Yeah, but
and
our
thinking
wingers are quick,
behind
James.
it,
Our
to the
wingers
next.
are quick.
Very quick.
Our wingers, our
Yeah,
wingers are quick. I mean, yes. See oh,
Cheslin.
who's
Aaron.
Aranza did for the first try. Yes, that was just
Mm.
filthy.
But as well,
He
it
passed
also
That's
goes
very
down
filthy.
to
quickly.
reading the game. It also goes down to reading the game. I just feel like our wingers are very the anticipation, because Kirkley was at the right place at the right time, and he tends to do that quite often, especially whenever the opponent makes an error. Because our first two tries, actually three tries, it was a mistake on the French's end, especially Cheslin's one, where of course I don't think who's this guy. I think the scrum half Dupont, he didn't get the opportunity to pass the ball to his flower half, and then the ball just fumbled, and then we just turned over the ball, and then from there on, Cheslin, you kind of knew that we were gonna score after that ball fumbled, and as soon as the ball got to our number
Jesse.
13
It was Jesse Creel.
for Creel, yes, yeah. Once it
Yeah.
got to Creel, you kind of knew that that was a try because of just how we are very alert in such situations.
We played a very good game. Like
Mm.
there were so many moments. There was someone mentioned Eben's knockback for that overlap pass. If he doesn't get to that ball, that's a try. And the fact that it wasn't, he was risking a yellow card because we saw what happened against New Zealand, where a similar situation happened. And who's the New Zealand captain? How come I'm
Is it
getting
is
this
it
guy?
is it Kane? Sam Kane?
No, it's not Sam Kane, man.
Which
Uh,
one?
Sam Kane is the big guy. The scrum half.
The scrum up. Oh, Aaron Smith.
Yes, Aaron Smith basically did the exact same thing that Eben did, and he got the
Mm.
yellow card. And there was like a forward pass before that, but I was worried immediately when he did it. I was like, "Oh, Eben, no, not another yellow," because
Eish.
this deliberate knock-on rule is the worst rule in rugby. To be very honest, it is the worst rule. The fact that it's a yellow
Yeah.
card offense doesn't sit right with me, But
Likewise.
I understand as well why they don't want to incentivize you taking that risk. If you take that risk, you better get the ball or you better knock it back. And Eben managed to knock it back, and the ref made the correct call immediately when he did. I think those small moments, are what made such a massive difference in how that game looked in the end. The same as Cheslin's save, getting to the ball before the runner when Dupont hit that chip kick, basically looking
Yeah.
for a free runner. France was very opportunistic in that game. They really were aggressive. They looked for every
Yo.
type of way to create advantages, and the counters that we had for them, are what made that game so great. It's the fact that we refused to give in. We refused to let them take control. And we also gave them the respect they deserved. Rassi said they shared drinks with the French coaching team after the game, and they were just sharing tactical stuff and mutual respect they have for each other. Even Gautier refused to get drawn into any horrible conversation about the Springboks, even though some of the players did criticize the ref. I don't think O'Keefe had a great game as well. I think O'Keefe didn't have a good game. He had a lot of questionable calls. You know,
Eish.
France's penalty in the second half that gave them the lead after Eben's um,
Try.
try.
Oh, yeah.
That penalty,
That
the
headbutt,
guy, yeah,
what they called the headbutt, the head collision.
no, not the head collision. I'm talking about the penalty in the second half.
Oh, okay.
After Eben had scored his try,
Yes, yes,
that
yes, yes.
that penalty, and it doesn't matter how many times you rewatch it, the tackler is off his feet and his hands are
Yeah.
still in the back, and he's not telling him to clear out, but then he calls not releasing on us. But the guy that's supposed to release is the French player because he's the one that has pressure on the ball, and we can't release as a result, and he's not on his feet. It's supposed to be our penalty, but instead it's called against us, and they score. If Pollard doesn't get that kick, that 52-yard beauty that he hit, the
Eish.
52-meter beauty that he hit, I was worried as hell. Ireland just kept, the Ireland game and how Faf missed two of those 50-meter kicks just kept hitting me like, oh my God, I hope it goes in. I hope it goes in. And then it just
Yeah.
went in. I was like, shit. This is why you need kicking in this game. This is why you need it.
Yeah.
So I was very happy. I was very happy. But more than anything, I'm really looking forward to England, guys. You don't understand. I
Hey.
even want, like, genuinely, I want us to use Arjes Neyman and Eben to start together. And the reason for
Yeah.
that is Courtney Laws and Itoje are problems, guys. Problems. Courtney Laws and Itoje, they are
Yeah,
giants. They are strong. They Mostert is
they're
great.
mobile.
Yeah, Mostert is great. We need a Viking. We need someone who's going to complement Eben. Mostert looks like a skepse. If we still if Lute was still around, this would
Eish.
be this would be the game for Diaga. We need someone to
Yeah,
bully with Eben because that is that is where England is problematic, and then they are kicking as well.
Of
We need to
course.
ensure that we
and
take
Farrell
care of
doesn't
that.
miss.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be a great one. I think England is always going to be one of those, but I think we have a lot of advantages on them. We have speed, we have power, and we're gonna hurt them. I saw them play against Samoa. They can't handle physicality very well. Even against Fiji, Fiji was dominating them physically. They were
Yeah.
just making errors, and
Eish.
Hayi
England
kodwa
was
kodwa
dominating.
kodwa ukusalayo onke mfethu umane ujwayela kabi ukusalayo ndoda. He
What?
can't convert that one closer to the line, and then
He
almost
has.
8 meters in or 10 meters in.
It's
Uyahambe
his kicking
uyoshiya
angle.
eceleni.
It bothers me.
Usijwayela blind, man.
Even against Ireland, it was the same thing. His kicking angle. So if he starts his kick far, he retains the same kicking angle. He doesn't. If you look at his kicks, they're traveling the same way from his foot. They're not changing. That's a
Mm.
problem. That's a serious problem. He needs to adjust that. It's a technical issue that he needs to be coached out of to say every kick is different. If you hit the sweet spot with your first kick and it was further, when you get closer, the kick angle needs to change. You need to understand that you need to adjust your strike point for the ball from where you struck it the first time. You are kicking the same kick every single time. That's why you're getting it wrong. That's the problem. So and money is so good in terms of in-game kicks.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know
Man,
how we make these
you're
decisions,
right.
man. I feel bad for the coaching team because you could see from those up and unders and how we were able to create tries while the box started. If the box doesn't
Yeah,
start, we don't create those tries. But at the same time, if the box doesn't start, we don't miss any of our kicks. Pollard is not
yeah,
missing that kick at all.
at all. Pollard is eating all of those kicks, bro.
All of
All
them,
of
bro.
them. All of
All of
them in, And so for me, I've got a question. Who do we start then against England? Do we
we
still
start
continue with
money.
Money?
We start money.
Okay.
You
Hey,
start
Tina,
fast.
yeah.
You start
Yes.
money. You start
Yeah.
fast. You start money. You start you start basically the same team. I would have Koch over Steven,
Mm.
and then I would have I would have Steven come with the bomb squad in the second half.
Mm.
But
And then, guys,
I'd also
so
consider a big bench. You
or a
know,
big bench or like
a big bench.
a 5-2 split again.
I would go 6-1 even. Why not?
Yeah.
6-1.
But all right,
Let's go
Jasmine.
6-1.
Like I agree with you because England they struggle against physical teams. Remember, even Luanda mentioned with Samoa. Samoa also,
Yeah.
bro, they won by like a point or two against
Yeah.
Samoa.
And
And
because of the ref,
yeah,
and because of the ref,
yeah.
the ref,
Eish,
the ref basically cancelled out a try after the conversion was scored. Something that has never happened in rugby ever.
yeah.
A TMO challenge came after a conversion was scored that cancelled out a try. That has never happened in rugby.
Listen to
Yeah.
that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah.
I'll probably go with definite change. I'll probably make is at 8. Yeah, Thor's
Who,
old man. Like
who you playing? Dion.
at 8 I'm playing what's this guy?
Jasper.
Jasper.
Quacha.
Don't play him at 8. You need
I'd
you
play
need Kwaka to play at flanker. You
I'd
need
play
Kwaka at
Jasper at
flanker.
8.
Yeah,
I don't
then
think
we have to. Then obviously they're gonna play Kolisi at flank. They're gonna play Kolisi at 8.
I would consider moving PSD because PSD doesn't have the mobility. If I've got my two locks, why do I have a third lock? Because Peter Steph is not playing in his position. He's not a 7.
yeah, he's not a 7, but he's played there for so long and he's done a
Yes,
great job there.
And he's
yeah,
on an
and
RLB player of the year from that
yeah,
position
and
as
he's a
well.
good ball carrier. So I understand why he
And
plays.
tackle as well.
I would play Visa, honestly. Vermeulen didn't have a great game. I would consider Kwacha or Dion over Sia, but I have to start with my captain.
Captain, Baba.
I
He
have to
brings the
start with my
calm to the
captain.
storm.
Yeah, I have to start with my captain. Plus, he's the tactical. He makes the tactical calls with money. Because I realize the people that make the calls in the team are the hooker, the flank, and the fly half. It's the dynamic for most of these teams. You know, with the French team, it's the scrum half instead of the fly half. But even with us, money makes the defensive assignments for the back line. So our defensive positions with our back line, it's the fly half that's basically making those calls because the scrum half is the action half. He's always where the ball is, so he can't really make those calls. So it's a dynamic that I think works for us. I think I'd still retain PSD because he gives us more weight in our scrum as well. He
And
gives
he's a
us more
lineout
push.
option.
Yes, that's the thing. We have 3 lineout options, but we've been poor at the lineouts. That's my problem. We've been
But
very poor.
but I don't think I think it's cause the French, bro. Like I mean, um, out of all the games we played, I think it's this game where we looked very shaky when it came to
Yeah.
lineouts.
And
So yeah,
there were moments as well where the pressure got to us. I
I think
particularly remember a line out where we literally won. It was our penalty, and we were meant to win that line out, and
Oh,
then we
don't
didn't
remind me
time
of
the.
that one. We won the lineout, but the tap was so bad. The ball fell onto a French player. I was so annoyed.
and
I was so
and we didn't
annoyed.
jump properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was our own penalty in their 22.
Yes.
We couldn't get a maul going. We couldn't even get one single maul in their 22. That's not the Springboks. And those
That's
are
why I
those
was
those are
saying,
some of those are some of the things we've had to overcome during this tournament, where we're not able to play our forward heavy style. We're not able to run phases, use our forwards to basically hurt the other team. We're not able to use our rolling maul effectively. There's a lot of things we've had to overcome in this tournament.
Yeah, no, indeed, gents. And then as well, man, I know we've been talking about the box, but I'd also like us to, have a brief discussion about Ireland and New Zealand. I think we've had our fair share of discussions as far as the box are concerned. But like, um, I don't know if you dare cheese, or okay, Luando, you take it away. But like, what are your thoughts on that game? I mean, you said it with your chest that New Zealand are gonna win this game, and yeah.
yeah, man, I just had a feeling. Look,
Mm,
again, I think
mm,
the moment, I think before that game, what's her name? New Zealand scrum off was like, I remember the feeling of 2019, and we where they literally got punked by England, and he said they were like, they were down bad and they didn't want to be in that place again. I also, the experience of not going past the quarterfinal, that counts. I don't think Ireland have been put in situations where they have to answer. You know, yeah, you might point to the our game against them, but again, that game, to be honest, felt like a feel out game when it wasn't a
It
game that
was.
counts. You know, it
It was
wasn't
a.
a game that counts.
It was supposed to
Yeah,
be a see you later.
see you
Instead,
later.
instead it was their final. Instead, it was their
Mm,
final. They sort of
yeah,
exactly.
peaked. They felt as though
So
they have arrived. Their chances are so good. I think it got to their heads. Had we won that game, I think Ireland would have approached that New Zealand game with a level of humbleness that was necessary in order to beat New Zealand. I mean, you
mm,
don't kick away 4 penalties in a kickable space to go for lineouts, and you miss on all 4 lineouts. That tells me that your situational rugby is not where it's supposed to be in knockouts. That's the that's the pedigree. That's the experience that you're
yeah,
lacking, because you see the Springboks didn't waste territory. If we have the ball in their territory, we are kicking. It's really that
yeah,
simple. and
yeah,
and New Zealand were the same. We have the ball in your territory, we are kicking. We're not playing games. Instead, Ireland were trying to, let's score a try to put it away. You get the 3 points, fight again, get the three
exactly,
points create scoreboard pressure. But
exactly.
they will learn. It's unfortunate because to me it feels like they this team was built to peak at this exact moment for this
Mm,
exact tournament.
yes,
Whereas if you look at tournaments to come, you know um
they might have a whole different squad.
there won't be any Colin Sexton.
Mm-mm.
He's retiring. It's going to
Mm,
be a new squad. And
they
you look
needed
at
to win right
France.
now.
Yeah, you look at France. France is actually on the up. A lot of their players are not that capped. They are
Mm,
talented, they are good, and they are on the up and up. So they could actually run the Six Nations going forward, because they were strengthening for the World Cup, but they have a young team. Whereas Ireland have an older team, and they've been the best Six Nations team since after the World Cup. They had this big unbeaten run, that they had 15 games unbeaten and everything. New Zealand was like, we don't care about none of that. We have a history. We do not play for
exactly,
these. We don't play for our names. We play for these jerseys, because these jerseys carry a history behind them. So I don't even expect Argentina to stop those guys. I think those guys will be in the final. Um, I think we are looking most likely at a South Africa versus New Zealand final, unless England has something in the rabbit hole for us, or they catch us on a
Yeah,
bad day. Because I
yeah,
think
no,
Sunday was a very bad day for us. Sunday was a bad day, a very, very bad day. It could have been, yeah, it
a
could have been
worse.
much worse. It could have
It
been
could have been
much worse.
worse.
Yeah,
Hey man, I was already saying, "Hi, we're done for." But yeah, um,
Yeah,
nah, back to Ireland. Like Sam, I really do feel for them, but they needed that. They had not been. I mean, they were what, like 14, 15, 16 games unbeaten.
yeah.
yeah.
That's a long run. At some point, you need to be punched in the teeth, man. Um,
But
But
but my thing is that I'd rather have a run like that with trophies involved. Like at the end of the day, guys, hey, that run
no, they
doesn't
won.
that's
mean
what I'm
jack
saying.
shit, bro,
That's
They
what
won
I'm
the
anymore.
Six
saying.
Nations. They won the
That's
Six
what I'm
Sorry.
saying.
Nations. They
Oh,
were
At some
hoping they
point,
could carry that form into the
yeah.
tournament. They won the Six Nations. They were unbeaten in the group stages as well. So in the pool stages, I mean, because they don't use them as groups. They were not beaten there, so they felt as though they were untouchable. And once losses matter, once losses become the difference between you going ahead or a flight ticket home, that's when
yeah.
the pressure is different. And I think you started to see that this is pressure that we're not used to, because in the
Mhm.
Six Nation they use a point system. So a point system will help because you can do bonus points. In the pool stages, they use a point system. So your point system, you'll be fine. The wins don't mean as much. But
They
the
don't.
moment you talk knockout rugby, where now
It's
when you lose, it's over. Then now it's different. The pressure is totally different.
100%. Okay, I mean, you guys saw the journalists from the northern hemisphere saying that all four teams from the
Hey,
northern hemisphere are
they were crazy.
unbeaten,
They were losing
so
their
on and so
mind.
forth, forgetting that, bro, Tina, we built for this, bro. Like us in New Zealand, we are built for knockout
Built for
rugby,
this.
bro. It's in our blood,
Six
More
World Cups there. Six World
now
Cups.
that I
dude.
now that I think of it, Ireland, were starting the strongest sides against teams we probably
Every team, nigga,
every
everyone,
team,
bro.
every team.
Tina,
So
bro,
you really
Tina,
have to think about the depth of that squad and realize maybe these guys also they legs ran out at some point, even in
They
that,
did. In that second
you
half,
know
they were tired.
they were
exactly
tired, dude. They were
Look,
exactly.
lagging.
if you look at New Zealand's defensive effort, ne, you can see that these guys don't have any speed anymore. They are not doing anything whatsoever to try to
Mm,
break through, and that is primarily the reason why they couldn't break them down. No matter how many phases they ran 30 plus phases. They were not making any headway whatsoever
yeah,
they were tired. New Zealand tired them out. They're
yeah,
exhausted.
they
I
did,
think
bro. And I
I think
think,
New Zealand
us,
might have the same problem in the final. I think
yeah,
because
because
of their rebuild, their team is quite thin,
very
and
thin.
they've had to use their experienced players, your Sam Canes. They've had to use them
Yeah,
sparingly, and you don't expect that Sam Kane is going to start as well. At hooker come the final. If they get there. So he's still going to be a second half substitution. He's bringing in the experience, but I don't think Sam Kane with his gray hair is still
nah,
that guy that he used to be. Even Retallick. Retallick is amazing. He's one of the
yeah,
best locks in the world. But I,
hmm
I still I think Retallick is old now, and as a result, there's going to be something that gives. The team is a mixture of young and old. And old is the guys that were stars when they last won it at home,
in
and that
2015.
was a long time
Yeah,
ago. 2020,
11. Yeah, 2011.
no,
That's when they won it at home.
2011, eh?
Yeah,
And
it's
15
2011
Who won it
and
2015 was
15.
them.
It was
New
them back to
Zealand.
Yeah,
back.
when
Yeah,
Retallick was the best lock in the world. like
easily.
yo. So
Yo,
And even one RLP player of the year as well. He even has
yes,
that under his
that
belt.
was a long
Mm,
time ago. You know,
mm.
Retallick has been playing with the Richie McCaws and Dan Carters of this world. This is probably his last World Cup with
Yeah.
But guys,
with
but
the
on Kentanga, you're forgetting one player, Sam
who?
Whitelock. Sam Whitelock
What?
has been playing since high school, bruh. Since
Yeah,
since
yeah,
2008,
that's
dog.
true.
Sam
It,
Whitelock
wa-
has
it,
been
it
playing.
he won the penalty. Whitelock
It
won the
does.
penalty that won the game.
Yeah.
hey,
Oh, Sam
Sisnyanya is
Whitelock.
yeah.
Yeah, bruh.
I
Sam
said
Whitelock is
Whitelock
old,
fits
man.
is old. Dog, even in that rugby game, remember that rugby game on PS2?
Yes,
Rugby
he's always
08.
been there.
He's there, bruh. He's
Even
playing
even
with
his
our
brothers
Maga.
retired. His
This,
brothers
this, this,
that came after his younger brothers that played with him retired. I'm
yeah, oh,
sure.
Luke. Yeah, oh, Luke. Whitelock.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, dude.
this is going to be Bowden Barrett as well. He's been playing for a very long time. He's
Yeah.
even changed positions. He's now at fullback. He's still a great player. Still very
Yeah.
intelligent as well. I think the Barrett brothers. Um, yeah, look, okay. Scott, great player. I think Scott Barrett is
Yeah.
very, very good. Jordy is not on form. So
Mm.
he's a wild card. On his day, you'll see him pop up, but he's not on form. So there was some New Zealanders were complaining that they should stop this thing of trying to keep the Barrett brothers in the same game every single game.
Yeah.
Because Jody struggles, and when Jody struggles, it just seems like he has to play himself out of
Mhm.
those situations.
Mm.
So yeah, it's telling though,
Yeah. I
that
know.
it's a change in the guard for New Zealand. I don't know how old
You,
is Savea as well.
Savia is also old. Ooh, let me check. Now Adi is older. He's even older than Julian. Remember Julian?
Yes. Ew, this
Yeah.
Gautrain.
Julian, guys. I used to
That
fear
guy.
Julian.
No,
He's
Julian,
30 years
guys.
old. He's 30 years old.
Oh, Adi.
Yeah, Ari's 30 years
Oh, he's
old.
30. Oh, he's
It's
30.
not bad.
Wow. He's not bad. He's not bad.
I don't know if
Nicosia
you'll
is
see the next
32.
World Cup, but he's not bad. But
Yeah,
I think
Julian is 33.
Hmm?
Julian is 33 now.
speaking of benches, I don't see other teams looking at their benches to make the same impact that we look at ours to make
Yeah.
an impact.
100%. You know why?
You
It's
know,
because Tina, our intensity stays the same, bro.
yeah. And
Mm.
our guys actually do come on and make a difference. They did so this weekend, you know.
Yep.
Whereas comparatively, France's bench didn't have the same impact. And part of us winning that game was, having players on the bench that we can rely on, which is what these guys have been, grateful about throughout this last 4 years since we won the World Cup, is that they've been able to rotate players whether forced because of injury or just selection, bring through players that they can see and keep in the system and groom. And come the 4 year period for the next World Cup, you've got a well rounded squad that you can rely on. So when
That's how
someone
you
is in,
should plan. That's how you should
exactly,
plan.
Yeah.
And
and
that's
you
why
can
when we
do
make
it
our
easy,
coaching changes, we make them after the World Cup so that
which
Yeah.
you have charge all the way until the World Cup,
exactly.
And that's the way it should be.
And
Yeah.
they've
And
done
you
it
know,
so well with the squad that
we have.
we didn't feel when a Pollard was gone, when you know, we there's a time in South African history there where we didn't have one, we couldn't pick a fly off. Two, we didn't have two solid fly offs at a given
Yeah.
stage. The
You're
drop off
right.
between our second fly off and our second fly off was so big that we were losing games because we didn't have a backup. But now
Or
we,
Rowan Pina. Who was this guy?
dude,
Rowan Pina used to move from nine to fly half to replace Umone. You are
Those
right,
were
dog.
crazy times, actually. Hey,
those were
Yeah.
crazy
because
times,
if
man.
you think about it, we could have done the same for Faf, as well as done the same when we were struggling at scrum half. We could have done the same with who's this with Money, because Money is such a good passer as well, and he can kick very well, and not use him for goal kicks, just use him for his game kicking. He's very, very good at that, and he's passing. The way The way money's vision works always amazes me because he sees things before they happen. He's very, very, very instinctive about understanding where everyone is. Especially
Yeah,
with the backs, he knows exactly where his backs are, which is what a fly half is supposed to be. It just sucks that he's not so good,
dude.
at his goal kicking because he would be the perfect fly half if he was a great goal kicker.
Dude, you'd be like for me one of the best in the world if he was
Yes,
a good
he
goal
would be.
kicker. If he could kick like a Owen Farrell, for instance. Have you seen
Yeah.
Farrell for England? And that
Oh
guy
man,
now,
Owen
Omonia,
Farrell,
who
Owen Farrell,
hardly misses.
Owen Farrell has
That's a
survived,
nice.
guys,
Bro,
because there was Ford who was vying for his kicking job, and there was a
yeah,
huge controversy in England whether to continue with Owen Farrell or give George Ford the kicking boots when Farrell would mess up. Now Farrell's kicking game is so well rounded. His drop kicks, he's so efficient at drop kicks as well. That's my
yeah,
concern with England. I think England is going to try to create territorial advantages
yeah,
so that they can utilize Owen for his drop kicking. But I think we have advantages as well that we can utilize against them to break what they do. It's going to
yeah.
be lineouts, with
And
laws
scram.
and
We
laws
must
and
and then
that
Otoji.
and Itoje, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be the scrums. There we're going to kill them.
I think we're gonna eat them alive. There, I'm not even stressing, bro. There, they're gonna struggle. Bro. It's gonna be like the World Cup final again. It's gonna be like
Gents,
the
I'm
World
gonna
Cup.
I'm gonna have to leave.
Yeah, I was about to close. Let me close it. Let me close it. Let me
All right.
close it, man. Yeah, but thank you once again, gents, for availing yourselves. I don't know what's up with StreamYard because StreamYard is the problem because my internet speed is actually very good, bro. It's it's on 50 megs per second, which is crazy that I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not crispy
You're
clear.
having
But
issues.
yeah. But thank you so much once again, guys, for carrying this convo. Should we link again on Thursday to discuss the cricket on a sober note, on a sadder note,
Mm.
Nice.
or
Yeah, let's link. We might as well do
let's
a Premier League
link
preview. We
and
have
a
real
Premier
football
League
back.
preview?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have
and
real
it's
football back this week. A
All
big
and
right.
one
so
between me and Luanjo. A big one.
yeah, big one, dog. Yeah,
At
we'll
the
see
bridge. At the bridge.
we'll just see whether London is red or blue.
Hey man, it's been hard.
Yes.
It's been hard.
I know we'll see, man. Yeah. Guys, once again, thank you for tuning in and for carrying the show. Guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Help a brother out. This is Easy Sport, and we out. Peace.
Sure.